Ma'am, could you pretend to be my mummy just for one day? Begged the little boy to the CEO. But before we dive in, leave a comment and let us know where you are watching from today. And if this story speaks to you, hit that subscribe button for more amazing stories. Victoria Hawley checked her watch twice before the elevator doors slid shut. She was late for the quarterly board review, and late was a word she never allowed in her vocabulary. Tablet in one hand, phone in the other. She was already rehearsing numbers, profits, projections, 30 floors to the top. No distractions. The doors almost closed when a small hand wedged between them. The sensors blinked, and the panels opened again. A boy, maybe 8, tumbled in, clutching a threadbare backpack. His cheeks were pink from the cold, his hair a messy halo of dark curls. He stared up at Victoria wide-eyed as the doors slid shut once more. She offered the brief non-smile she reserved for strangers, children, and paparazzi. Instead, he took a single shaky breath and whispered, "Ma'am, could you pretend to be my mummy just for one day?" Victoria's finger froze above the elevator panel. Profits, margins, growth vanished from her mind. The carriage hummed upward, the floors ticking past. 17, 18, 19? The boy's voice, tiny but determined, filled the chrome space. "Please, just for today. They're having family lunch at school, and everyone has someone but me. I asked Miss Elkins if I could bring a photo, but she said it's not the same." Victoria cleared her throat. "I'm afraid you've mistaken me," she managed, voice crisp. "What's your name?" "Oliver," he whispered, clutching the backpack tighter. "Where is your guardian?" Oliver frowned. "He was supposed to pick me up downstairs, but his truck broke again. He told me to wait in the lobby. Then I saw you, and you looked like someone who says yes. Floor 23. Ding. The doors opened. A man in a charcoal suit entered, chatting on Bluetooth. Victoria held up a finger. "Not this car. Private meeting," she said. The man backed out, confused. Doors slid shut. Oliver's eyes never left her. "Ma'am, I can sit quiet. We just have to bring one favorite dish and say one nice thing about our mothers. I can say you work hard and smell like peppermint tea. That's 2 nice things." "Please," Victoria inhaled. "Peppermint," her assistant insisted. It calmed nerves. She turned slowly, kneeling to Oliver's height. Her slate gray heels clicked against the brushed steel. "Do you even know who I am?" "You're famous." He nodded. "You have buildings with your name and a fountain on Main Street. My grandpa says you own half the city." Victoria blinked, half amused, half startled. "Your grandpa talks too much." Floor 30, top level. The doors chimed. She reached past him, pressing stop. The elevator halted mid-shaft. Silence echoed between them. She studied the small, desperate face, freckles and hope, and something heartbreakingly brave. "You only need me for one lunch?" "One day," he repeated. "I'll never ask again." She believed him. That hurt the most. She exhaled, her strict schedule crumpling in her mind. "All right," she said finally, her voice softer than she thought possible. "But we need to find your guardian first. You can't wander downtown elevators alone." Oliver broke into a grin brighter than the skyline. "Thank you, Mummy. Just for today." Victoria's chest tightened at the word. The elevator rumbled back to life, descending now toward a story she never planned to live. By the time they found Oliver's grandfather, he was hunched beside a rusted pickup at the far end of the underground garage. His hands were slick with grease, and his face pale with frustration. "Old Betsy threw a tantrum again," he muttered, as Oliver ran to him. Then his eyes shifted to Victoria, widening in slow recognition. "Ma'am?" he stammered, wiping his hands on a towel that didn't help. "You're Miss Hawley, CEO of Hawley Holdings. I didn't expect." "She found me," Oliver said proudly. "She's gonna be my pretend mummy today." The old man blinked. "She's what now?" Victoria folded her arms. "Just for the school event. You'll still be his ride home." A beat passed. Then the old man chuckled. "Well, he's always had a wild imagination." "No," Victoria said. "Just hope. And that's rarer than imagination." The school was only 10 minutes away, but inside Victoria's head, it was a journey through unfamiliar territory. Hallways filled with laughter, teachers with paint on their sleeves, cafeteria tables covered in construction paper. "Do you want to wear this?" Oliver asked, holding out a handmade crown. "All the mums wear one. Miss Elkins says it's tradition." Victoria hesitated. It was crooked, glittery, and spelled Queen Mom in shaky marker. She put it on. Oliver beamed. Victoria hadn't sat at a folding cafeteria table since she was 12. She remembered plastic trays and lukewarm pudding. Today, she balanced a casserole from the local deli and tried not to look out of place. But it didn't matter, because when Oliver stood up in front of his classmates and said, "This is my mom. She's smart and smells like peppermint and drives elevators with buttons," something in Victoria cracked. For the first time in years, she laughed. Not a boardroom chuckle, a real laugh. And then, it happened. A boy across the table asked for one of her fries. "Please, just one," he whispered. Victoria nodded and pushed the tray forward. But before he could grab it, a teacher gasped, because every child at the table reached out at once. "Wait," Victoria said. The room went still. She stood. "Stop eating," she said. Silence. She looked around. Empty plates, hungry eyes. Half the kids had brought nothing. One girl had a single cookie. Victoria reached for her phone. Maria, cancel the rest of my meetings. Then call every restaurant on 6th Avenue. Tell them to deliver enough food for 100 kids to Lincoln Elementary now. Oliver stared up at her like she had summoned lightning. She sat back down. Lunch is on me, she said. And for the first time in her life, she understood what it meant to truly be someone's mother if, only for a moment. News traveled fast. By Monday morning, photos were circulating online of Victoria Halley in a glittered crown, passing out pizza slices. Board members called, investors speculated. Her assistant panicked. Do you want to release a statement? Maria asked, eyes wide. Victoria clicked through the photos, pausing on one of Oliver hugging her leg. No, she said simply. Let them talk. But it wasn't just talk. That week, her company's stock rose. Customers sent thank you notes. Employees said they'd never been prouder, and then came the letter. Typed, folded, delivered by hand. It read, to Miss Halley, thank you for pretending. That's all I wanted, one day. But you didn't just pretend. You saw us. Signed, a kid with no lunch. Victoria wiped a tear. She didn't pretend that time. Weeks passed. Holly Holdings continued to grow. But every Thursday, Victoria blocked out 1 hour in her calendar. Lunch outreach, the slot read. No one questioned it. At Lincoln Elementary, the kids came to expect the lady with peppermint tea and surprised meals. Oliver was always the first to greet her. One Thursday, he brought her a folder. It's my family tree project, he said. You're on it now. She opened it. Her name was written in a bubble with 3 words underneath. Only for one day. Then, in smaller print. But it mattered forever. Victoria closed the folder gently. Oliver, she said, would it be okay if I came next week too? His grin answered for him. Months later, a different elevator opened. This time, it wasn't Victoria alone. She was holding Oliver's hand. They were visiting a city youth fundraiser. Victoria was the keynote speaker. Before stepping on stage, Oliver whispered, You nervous, mummy? She smiled. Not when you're watching. The crowd applauded her speech. But what stayed in her mind was what Oliver said when they rode down together. I used to think people like you were too busy to care, he murmured. Victoria looked down. I used to be. Then she pressed the button for the ground floor. And this time, she didn't let go of his hand. The silence in the back seat of the town car was thick. Victoria sat rigid, her perfectly tailored jacket now rumpled from the cafeteria bench. Oliver, now full from his second helping of macaroni, swung his legs and hummed softly. The driver navigated the afternoon traffic with practiced ease, but Victoria's thoughts were less direct. She watched the boy through the corner of her eye. He was too small for the oversized seat, but somehow filled the space with the ease of someone used to adapting. Do you always eat lunch alone? She asked finally. Oliver shrugged. Sometimes Mr. Willis comes, sometimes Grandpa, but he's been sick since last month. Mostly I just pretend someone's there. Victoria turned slightly. And your mother? He was quiet. The car rolled to a stoplight. My mom died when I was little. I don't remember her much. Grandpa says she liked old music and hot sauce. Victoria swallowed. Something in her chest shifted, uncomfortably. Do you miss her? She asked. He looked at her with those same wide, honest eyes. Every time someone else gets picked up, but today I didn't. Today I had a mom. The light turned green. The driver turned onto 5th Avenue. Oliver, she began carefully. You understand? This is just for today, right? He nodded solemnly. I know. You have buildings to run. You're busy. His voice was matter of fact. No bitterness, just acceptance. But it was the best day, he added. Victoria looked away. Outside, the streets bustled with the business of life. Inside, she felt something rare and unwelcome rising. The sting of guilt. The town car pulled into a modest cul-de-sac bordered by small homes and overgrown fences. The driver hesitated, unsure, before Victoria leaned forward. This is it, Oliver pointed. There, the green door with the eagle sticker. Victoria stepped out first, her heels clicking against the cracked pavement. Oliver hopped down, landing on the curb with a small grunt. As they approached, the door creaked open. An older man stood in the doorway. Late 50s, maybe early 60s, wiry frame, sun-weathered skin, and a limp in one leg. His face lit up when he saw the boy. There you are, kiddo. I was starting to worry. Hi, Grandpa. Oliver ran up and hugged him. The man ruffled his hair, then looked up. Victoria Halley. Ma'am, he said slowly, his voice raspy. You must be ... someone very kind. Accidental. More than anything, she replied, offering her hand. He took it gently. Name's George. Thank you for looking after my grandson. Victoria nodded, suddenly unsure of herself. He didn't give you too much trouble, I hope. She smiled, faint but real. He gave me perspective. George laughed. That sounds like him. Always asking big things like they're little ones. Oliver tugged at her coat. You want to come in for tea? Grandpa makes the best kind. Victoria hesitated. An email buzzed in her purse. Another meeting? Another report? But she found herself saying, I can stay for a cup. George opened the door wider, and Victoria Hale stepped into a living room, smaller than her office bathroom. The house smelled like cinnamon and old wood. A clock ticked slowly in the corner. Everything was worn but clean, humble but loved. Victoria sat on the edge of a faded floral couch, teacup in hand. George moved with a careful limp, setting out cookies on a tray. "So," he said, settling into the recliner, "what line of work are you in?" Oliver beamed. "She owns everything." Victoria chuckled. "Not quite. Real estate? Primarily. I manage development projects." George raised a brow. "Then today must have been a real shift." She nodded, as her eyes wandered to the mantel. A photo frame caught her attention, a young woman with eyes like Oliver's holding a baby. She wore a bright scarf, smile wide. "That's his mum," George said quietly. Victoria leaned in. She was beautiful, smart as a whip, but she got sick fast. Oliver was just a baby. There was silence. The clock ticked. Victoria looked at Oliver, now dozing with a cookie half-eaten in his hand. "Do you have help? Support?" she asked George. He sighed. "Social programs mostly. I do odd jobs when my leg holds up. We get by." Victoria placed her cup down. In that moment, something shifted. Not because of pity, not because of guilt, but because for the first time in years, something had pierced the hard shell of her world. Not a hostile investor, not a corporate takeover, a boy, a question, and a seat beside him.